Hey everybody, hope you're having a great week so far. Doug here, one of the host, producers, and creators of the Genre of Your Life podcast, bringing you another review roundup episode this week. You might have heard my last recent one that I put out a day or two ago. That was my review roundup episode. I was reviewing Five Nights at Freddy's as well as Dumb Money. I had a great time reviewing both those movies on the show. This one I'm super looking forward to reviewing. It is Alexander Payne's new movie, The Holdovers, starring Paul Giamatti, Davine Joy Randolph, and the newcomer Dominic Sessa. I absolutely love this movie. I adore it. It's easily my top 10 of the year so far, probably my top 5 of the year so far. I just truly love this movie so much. I can't wait to review this movie for you all on the show. But as always, guys, you can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast platform of choice. We also have the full audio show on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions. Whether on YouTube or Spotify or Apple or Amazon, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, leave a review, leave a rating. It helps us out so much. The past couple of months, the past year, we've been doing the show almost a year now come November, and the ongoing support from you all, it means the world to us, whether we're doing the show, the full show, or my review roundup, or Nick and I are doing our, out theater reactions. The response and love has been very rewarding. So we want to thank you all for the support this past year, and more to come. We're just getting started. We have a lot more to review before the 2023 ends, and then going to New Year. So much more stuff coming out. So we hope you're enjoying the show. We enjoy making it. So as always, guys, thank you so much for your ongoing support. It means the world to us. But like I said, guys, I am here to review this week is Alexander Payne's new movie, The Holdovers. So Alexander Payne, if you don't know, he's done stuff like Sideways, The Descendants, as well as which one? Oh, Downsizing, and a lot of other movies too. I'm not too familiar with his work except for Downsizing. That was Matt Damon, where like you can shrink yourself to smaller to get. It was kind of like a political satire on economics and the world of like trying to like be more smart with your money. Smaller things go a long way is what kind of the message was, and I'll try and just like kind of showcase of like, yeah, we can do a lot more when we have a lot less, in a way, or that's how I took it. And you know what, to me, it didn't work for me. It was a 2.5 hour political satire that just to me probably dragged on. I mean, good, I'm a big Matt Damon fan. I'm a huge Christoph Waltz fan, but it felt really flat. I remember I almost saw that in theaters, and I saw it on maybe Amazon Prime when it came out. I was like, oh, this is kind of a disappointment because it's a great premise. But yeah, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me, and I think it bit of a misfire too. I think it did not do well, and it cost a lot of money to make. I want to say, let me see right now. I think it cost 70 mil, and it only made 55 worldwide, and that's 70 mil. That's before marketing, distribution, stuff like that. So that's almost $140 million for a movie that did not perform too well or did not get the same kind of response, both critically or audience wise. So wasn't a huge fan of that movie because I've seen stuff again. I know everyone loves Nebraska. I have not seen Nebraska. It's on my list. So is The Descendants, and as well as Sideways and Election. So I'm not too familiar with his work overall. But again, after seeing this movie, I want to watch all his stuff now. Kind of go back and kind of watch all his filmography. So for some context, basically, it's set in the winter in 1970, upstate Massachusetts. It's basically that time we know it's set in like a boarding school, and everyone's going home for the Christmas, for the New Year's. But there are families, there are kids that are stuck. Their parents or families are not able to do things during the holidays or not allowed to bring them back. So they're called the holdovers. Basically, it's the ones that don't go home during the winter break. And Paul Giamatti is a teacher there, a bit of a hard ass. Like a lot of his coworkers don't respect him. The head of the school doesn't respect him because he's too tough on these kids. But his point is that, hey, I'm tough on these kids because I want them to get a proper education, kind of like in the real world. No one's gonna be kind of holding your hand, through everything. It's you gotta learn some, tough love, basically. And so it's basically he's roped into he's basically now in charge of these kids. He was supposed to go home too, but now he's stuck watching these kids for the next 2 weeks at this boarding school because he got chosen, and again, it's the shittiest job that a teacher can get during winter break, but it is what it is. But anyway, he's stuck with these kids, and he's kind of like responsible for the next 2 weeks, and some of the characters kind of just like, they're very obnoxious and very just kind of like this unhinged in a way. But he's also there with the lead cook, played by Davine Joy Randolph, who I absolutely adore and love. And she's kind of there too because she's dealing with the loss in her life, and she's also kind of there for the holiday as well by choice. So she's just there. So it follows these Paul Giamatti and these kids and the main cook, main chef, played by Davine Joy Randolph, and they're 2 weeks at this boarding school for the next 2 weeks, and kind of like the shenanigans go on. But I don't want to spoil too much because I went in blind, but things happen pretty quickly. But again, I don't want to spoil anything for you all. I want you to go in blind. If you go in blind or go in less you know, the better. But it mostly follows Davine Joy Randolph's character, who plays the main chef, Paul Giamatti, who plays the professor, and plays one of the kids, played by Dominic Sessa, who's, I think this is his first big role, I want to say. And it's from the moment it begins, it starts off with like the old school rated R MPAA logo, stuff like that, and the old school Focus Features logo. It feels like movie out of the 70s for sure. I mean, the way that Alexander Payne shot the movie on film and the grain, it truly feels like a time capsule from the 70s. Again, I wasn't born in the 70s, but I've seen plenty of films from the 70s and 60s and 50s. This movie has a really authentic feel of other movies I've seen from that time period. I think it was very genius what he was able to do that, because it kind of once the movie begins, you kind of feel the setting of like where we are, what year it is, stuff like that, and it works super effective. But right away I was like, okay, I know what we're in for. So yes, their main characters, like I said, Paul Hunnam, played by Paul Giamatti, Mary Lamb, played by Davine Joy Randolph, and the newcomer was one of the kids, Angus Tully, played by newcomer Dominic Sessa. And like I said, the moment the movie starts, you know what kind of vibe it's going to be. It definitely gives off Wes Anderson, Jason Reitman a little bit to a degree, and even some kind of like John Hughes in there a little bit. But man, the charm of the movie really starts off right away when you see Paul Giamatti, who isn't the most charming guy, but like I grew up watching Paul Giamatti in all these movies. One of my favorite actors, and he still is one of my favorite actors. And man, he really just like, and it's his movie, but at the same time, like it's him, Dominic Sessa, and Davine Joy Randolph, their movie, and just the vibe of the movie itself it starts off just excellent if you ask me. Like I said, not too familiar with Alexander Payne's work, and I only watched one of the trailers that Joelle sent me like over the summer, and I watched like a snippet of it. And that's it. I want to watch this. I don't want to watch it anymore. I avoided all the other trailers and marketing and TikTok ads and YouTube ads. I went in blind. This is an original movie, guys. This is an original movie, theatrical movie that is. I give so much props to Focus Features and Universal for giving this lower budget, mid-tier original movie a theatrical release. How you heard me praise Dumb Money in the last episode, I really give props to the studios for actually taking the risk, but also just kind of like really believing in their original storytelling for the big screen. This could have been a Peacock movie, this could have been a Hulu movie or Netflix movie, but I really, really, really love the fact that Universal and Focus said, no, we believe in this movie. We're going to put this in theaters because we believe in original storytelling. How it does, we'll see. I hope it does really well. I think it's a limited release first, and then it's going to be like a wider release as the weeks go on. I'm hoping it does well because I really love seeing that studios and production companies are really still believing in original storytelling for the big screen like this. And it made me super, super happy because, it kind of restores my faith in lower budget original filmmaking, where I think A24 is very winning that right now, but like the bigger studios, which Focus Features is part of Universal Pictures, Searchlight is part of Fox Searchlight or 20th Century Studios now owned by Disney. I really, really love that we are still seeing studios take a chance in original storytelling like this. Because again, this could have been easily a streaming movie or even a show at one point. Has a great script. I from the moment it starts, you can tell this is gonna be a very kind of witty kind of script, kind of witty dialogue, which I love because it reminded me a lot of Jason Reitman films, Wes Anderson films, a little bit of John Hughes films, and I'm like, okay, it's being true to the time period of the 70s, but also is that making not got that kind of cheesy dialogue that some of those older movies have. It's very authentic in many different ways. Paul Giamatti, man, this better get him an Oscar nomination or a win because he is phenomenal in this movie. Oh my gosh! Listen, I grew up on watching him from Big Fat Liar to stuff like Straight Outta Compton. I mean, the guy's been part of my life for a long, long time. And as a kid, I despised him in Big Fat Liar because he was like the mean producer. But even small roles like in the Truman Show, stuff like that, he's remarkable in this. And he's again, I want to watch now Sideways and all those movies. But man, I just am just really, really. I was so in awe of his performance in this because it's really one that like sticks with you, or you can show like, wow, this dude is such an underrated actor. How has he not been like awarded or nominated at least once? He's been nominated for Cinderella Man, but has not won an Oscar yet because he is fantastic in this. This is, again, like I said, you watch him, he does the thing so effortlessly and so flawlessly as an actor. It's like you know what kind of character he's going to be just by watching him and the dialogue he has. And it's just the whole movie. He just really he's really just is showing how much of an amazing actor he is to this day. And the smallest things you pick up, whether it's some of his movements, some of his kind of like dialect with his students, or some of his mannerisms and his eye contact, it's just a masterclass in acting from his performance. And you sit there, you're like, this guy is one of the best, and I think he's super underrated. Even though I think he's the best, to me, Da'Vine Joy Randolph, who plays the main chef in this movie, she is amazing. Oh my goodness. I have a huge shout out for her. Huge standout. She's the biggest standout if you ask me. I think this for sure is Oscar worthy, winning or even nominated, because she is amazing in this. Listen, I've been a fan of her since Office Christmas Party, which I know is a movie that people are kind of like, really? I saw it my freshman year of college, and I was like, this movie's fun, man. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it for what it is. It puts a smile on my face. Is it the best movie? No. Is it going to win Oscars? No. But for some reason, I just love kind of really stupid, dumb comedies like that, or big ensemble comedies like that. And for me, Office Christmas Party works for me in so many different ways, which I know it's got critically panned and audience didn't like it as much. But for me, it worked. I truly love that movie for what it is. But her performance, man, like, it's also, and she also, for a show that wasn't that great, she was in the show called The Idol, which was with Lily Rose Depp and the artist The Weeknd. It was curated by The Weeknd as well as Sam Levinson, who did Euphoria. And if you don't know Euphoria is a very hard watch, even for someone who's my age, 25. You watch, you're just like, yeah, it's a tough watch sometimes. You're just like, oh man. But I know like a lot of older audiences can't connect with it because it's like it's too much. It is a lot. But they made a show called The Idol, and it's not good. I think if you hear my review of the show over the summer, yeah, it's pretty atrocious. It's not good. I mean, there's some good music for sure. I think they were trying to be some good to be taken out of it, but overall, as a series and as a story, it just does not work. It's a mess, and there's a lot of good performances that kind of go wasted. But to me, I think besides the music itself, Da'Vine Joy Randolph, who plays like the manager of Lily Rose Depp in that show, she by far was the best part of that show, 100%, because you can tell she was trying to like salvage this show for what it is and what it was trying to say and be accomplished, and it doesn't do anything of that. But to me, when she was on screen, I was invested because she has a huge presence that just kind of just captures the screen, and it's amazing. And I think it's like testimony to her as an actor that she's been kind of just like growing, and she's kind of just like taking on more roles, getting more mainstream roles like this. But despite that show being bad, I thought she was phenomenal. But in this is her role. This is her movie. And whenever she was on the screen, she was stealing every scene, every moment. And like I said, I was just in awe because like this movie's a dramedy. There's very high funny moments. There's very low dramatic moments. And every time she's on screen, she just captures it. And she just commands your attention. She commands her performance. And she's really outshining her co-stars at that time. We're just like, wow, who is she? Who's this girl? Who is this woman? She is fantastic. And I really can't wait to see her, get her praising this for this movie because she is phenomenal. Like I said too, the newcomer, Dominic Sessa, I believe his name is. He reminds me of a great, of a younger Adam Brody. Adam Brody's been in a lot of stuff. He was recently in Shazam. What would the biggest thing that Adam Brody has done that I could like? Oh, he was in the show. Yeah, I didn't watch all the shows, but he was in the OC. He was in show. He was in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He's in the new. He's in New Girl. He's done a lot of stuff. Like he's in a. I think he's American Pie. I think he does it with Kevin Smith. It's a lot of stuff. He's a working actor. But if you look up Adam Brody and this newcomer Dominic Sessa, it looks like a really younger version of him in so many ways. And the whole time I'm looking at a young Adam Brody. So that was just how I saw it. How it would have reminded me of. But for his first for a first time actor, this is his first role working with such a great performance from Davy Joy Randolph and Paul Giamatti. He carries his own, man. He really does. And I was like, you know what? A lot of new coming talent, whether it's directors or filmmakers or writers or actors, actresses. When your first role, your first project is very important because you're kind of introducing yourself to the world of like, hey, here I am, trying to establish myself as an artist. Here's what I'm capable of. And to me, I thought he was fantastic. He really was great. He really also he brings kind of like really his youth and vulnerability to him at times because you feel for him what happens to him in his character and a little bit in the movie. Again, no spoilers. You feel for him at times, you really do, and he's capturing adolescence in this era of the 70s of like what does it mean to be a kid, obviously before technology, before cell phones and all this kind of stuff. It's how is this young man keeping himself entertained, or how is he getting through boarding school? And he really captures this kind of just like young adolescence, but very rebellious too. He's 17, or I think 17, I believe. Very rebellious, very kind of just like curious. But again, he's only a kid. He thinks he knows everything, but he doesn't. But again, the layers of that he goes through in the movie too is very just like wow. And the way it unfolds too is like wow. Now it makes sense of why his character is the way he is. Love it. Like I said, the chemistry between all three of them is fantastic. It really works. Like I said, I've seen a lot of movies this past year where I'm just like, oh, the chemistry in this movie is terrible. I just don't believe it. Each one of them, between the three of them, it's their movie equally, but it's amazing to see how well they work together on screen because their chemistry is very, very electrifying and it works in so many different ways. And again, it never feels dull, never feels forced, never feels like, oh man, this is so unbelievable. It feels so authentic and natural that it makes you love the movie even more because, okay, I can see that. Oh, this seems believable, and the things they do together, that's believable, and it just works. I think it's very kudos to the writing, but also to the direction from Alexander Payne as well. That he knew how to get performances out of all three of them that really work together when they're on the same when they're sharing the screen together, and it just works. It truly, truly works. This movie had me cracking out loud at times. Oh my goodness. There's been a lot of funny movies this year. Joyride, No Hard Feelings, Strays. This movie had me cracking out loud a lot of times. Again, it's not a full-blown comedy, but when the humor works for me a lot of times, what had me, again, it's very awkward, kind of like cornball humor at times, but man, it really works. I was laughing out loud a lot, and it was funny seeing the other people in the audience as well laughing the same way because it was a lot of it was just naturally funny. It wasn't like kind of physical humor or kind of like a cheap gag, but the humor just works. I think it was something that would definitely benefit from how the awkward things were in the movie, but whether it's from Davy Joy Randolph or Paul Giamatti, Dominic Sessa, the humor works really well between all three of them. When there's funny moments to be had with their characters, their humor works. It truly does. And I'm just like, man, this is hilarious. Again, it's not full-blown comedy, but as a comedy itself, it really, truly works. And I was very surprised by that because not knowing too much about the movie, going in blind as possible, my gut was hurting at times because I was laughing so hard. When it's for a movie to handle both humor and emotional elements really well, it's a bit of a challenge, I would say. We've seen sometimes where the movie works better as a drama, works better as a comedy, and we're trying to mix. It doesn't work out as well. The emotional and drama aspects of this movie really hit. It really hit. Again, no spoilers. When things are being revealed about certain characters and what they're going through, or what they went through, that's revealed. You're just like, oh man, it hits you like a brick, or it hits you in the stomach. You're just like, oh, what? And you feel for them at times. You're just like, oh man, I want to see these people succeed and have a good life or have a good holiday season. And it just hits you. And I felt emotional times with certain characters, when they're feeling kind of low at Christmas, or something that happened. They're talking about something that happened to them at the beginning of the year. That's pretty crucial to their character arcs. It hits, and I was like, man, it just. I was laughing a few minutes ago. Now I'm feeling sad, and the way that the movie was able to kind of like juggle both of those and mix them very well is a kudos alone, because I think a lot of directors have a problem kind of mixing the two or blending both of the genres. But Alexander Payne, this does a great job of doing both, and it just works. It works. And like I say, when the humor works, it really works. When the drama and emotional aspects hit, they hit and they stick with you. Honestly, I saw this movie a couple of weeks ago, and I'm doing it now because it's coming out this week in our market. It's, to me, like, I was still thinking about this movie a week or two later. I was like, wow, that part when this thing happens, or when she says this or he says this, it just hit me, and I have not been able to not think about it the past couple weeks. It's been stuck in my mind the past couple weeks. I can't. And you want to see other movies or view other movies, I'm like, I'm still thinking about that one scene in this part in this movie, and it just really stuck with me the past couple of weeks. I think, again, it's a testament to the production, to the cast, to the writing, to the direction. What I love about this movie the most too is that it has layers. Each character, the storyline itself, their arcs and their layers. It's like an onion. There's so many layers to their characters. Because at first you're kind of like, oh, it's going to be an annoying kid. He's going to be the hard-ass professor. She's going to be the kind of just like tough-ass cook that I don't want to be there either. But no, the way this movie unfolds throughout the entire movie, there's layers. It's an onion. The more you learn about these characters, the more you learn about their backstory, about them, and what they're going through mentally and physically. It just really reveals itself in a very natural and really beautiful way, where I was like, wow, I'm learning more about these characters even at the end of the movie or midway through the movie than I was in the beginning. And the way it's paced, the way it reveals itself, it works in so many ways. You're just like, wow, I love characters that have more layers to them. That you think you know where they're gonna be the whole movie, but you don't, and you just you see different sides of them throughout the entire movie. That's like, wow, this is so rewarding, because a lot of characters are very written off as one dimensional, or like, oh yeah, they're kind of this, they're the hard ass, or they're kind of the tough jock, or they're like this the mean boss, or whatever. No, like you learn more about these characters, and you just get to know them. You kind of feel like you know them yourselves now after the course of this entire movie. Like I said, the way they unlayer these characters, get them through their tough shell at first, kind of the gooey nature of it all. It really just is remarkable how it's like, wow, I feel these characters now. I'm learning more about them. And like I said, if a movie has layers to it and really kind of invest in your characters, this is the movie that I would definitely say, look at this movie as an example of how they're able to really reveal their characters, unlevel the layers, and their arcs are just really, really, really just like something to watch, because the movie starts off with certain arcs, and when the movie ends, you're just like, man, that was a really redeeming arc, or that was a very rewarding arc to see them go on from this to this. And again, a lot of writers, again, I'm a writer myself, I can think we can learn from this, because it really shows depth, and it shows like humanity in these characters. They're not just written off as kind of just like jokes. It really shows some great depth to their characters and who they are and who they were as people. Like I said too, cinematography is top tier. Like I said, the way Alexander Payne has the movie shot in certain frames in certain locations, it felt like a movie from the 70s. Again, I would love to hear people that grew up in the 70s or watch a lot more movies from the 70s than I do. I want to see their reaction to this, because I think they might have the same thing. Like, wow, this feels like a 70s movie, that like a time capsule on point. Like, was this movie shot in the 70s and saved years later? Because it truly feels like that. The way it's shot on film, the grain, the aspect ratio, and I want to say it's 4:3. I could be wrong, but it's a very more boxed in aspect ratio, and it just gave the illusion of like this movie feels like such natural, and it feels like it's from that time, and it didn't feel like too forced. Again, I love Stranger Things, and they do a great job, or even they do a great job with like making it feel like an 80s nostalgia, whatever. But to me, the nostalgia in this movie is done so well and so subtly that it doesn't have to be like up front. So, oh, look, nostalgia, look, Game Boy, or this song, or this music, or this kind of coffee, whatever, or this logo. It's done so naturally that it feels timeless at times, which I really liked about it. Again, it gave me a lot of Wes Anderson. Like I said, Wes Anderson, in a way, Wes Anderson, Jason Reitman movies like Juno and up in the not up in the air, but like the character study of these characters reminding me a lot of their filmmaking from Jason Reitman was Anderson, and it reminded me a lot of movies like in a way kind of Breakfast Club, and a lot of John Hughes classics too. That I'm like, wow, I think Alexander Payne can stand on his own as a filmmaker himself, but like I can feel inspirations from other movies that maybe his fellow filmmakers that he's bringing in to this movie, and like I said, it's done very well. It's done with such love, and I said it's really a timeless movie. I feel like this movie might be 10 years later. We're still talking about this movie years later because it feels like a very timeless movie that's about this. It's about people and how different we are sometimes, but at the same time we are similar, and the interaction that we go through, and like it's the weird time in your life that you might kind of like remember some certain things that happened to you, and I love that about this movie. I really do. And also a little shout out to like remind me a little bit of Lady Bird in a way too. I think Greta Gerwig did a great job of like kind of capturing that time as well in her movie, and all kind of the quirkiness of adolescence and religion a little bit, and coming of age. And I think that Lady Bird and this movie would be a great double feature if you ask me. So again, loved it. And also one more thing I will say too, like I said, it's the production design, set design is awesome because, like I said, it feels, again, shot on location. I love that. How I praise the creator for that. I love that I'm seeing more movies shot on location and actual sets being built because, again, when you know it's a green screen, you know it's a green screen. I know that recently when I'm seeing a lot of movies of like, oh, it's definitely a green screen or it's a soundstage somewhere in a studio. I love that this movie definitely used on location. You felt the cold, you felt the snow. You can see how damp and dirty and kind of like run down this school that they were in. It just felt authentic. It felt natural. It felt authentic, and it felt real. Again, I love that I'm seeing more filmmakers going back to on set, building sets on location, practical sets. Because again, it's a very Hollywood thing, but it makes the magic of movies still alive. So loved it. Also, quick shout out to my dad's alma mater, Swarthmore. There was a Swarthmore reference. I'm like, oh, my dad went there, so I'm like quick shout out to that school because we were there last month visiting friends and family. So shout out to Swarthmore. As much as I love this movie, I will say there were some cons. I know. I've been praising this movie from the high heavens. As much as I liked him, the newcomer Dominic Sessa, there are times where I think he's a bit overacting. I think it's not to his credit. Again, he's a newcomer. I don't know how much work he has as a young actor or what he's done acting classes or whatever, but it's very intimidating to be on a set with a great filmmaker like Alexander Payne and great actors like co-stars like Dwayne Joy Randolph and Paul Giamatti. I think there's times where he's a little bit too monotone, where he's talking like this, yeah, and this, and and this, yeah. It's very monotone, or it's not like he's not trying something different. But I think, you know what, I have to give him credit because again, he's a new coming actor. This is his first big role. I think he's still finding his rhythm, but there are times where it was just like, all right, I think he's kind of like too overacting of like what a kid that age would be like if he's the same age as a character he's playing. There are times where it's like, okay, tame him down a little bit, just bring it down a little bit. You're kind of just like, you're at an 8, now you're at a 15, like just like relax a little bit. So like I said, he's still finding his rhythm. He's an actor. I can't wait to see what he does next as a young talent in this industry. There's a reveal. There's a reveal of them. I don't want to say what it is, but at the end there's a reveal of something similar between Paul Giamatti's character and Dominic Sessa's character, where I was like, they're trying to say like, oh look, they are very similar despite their age difference and where they come from. I just thought that it was nice that they had that, but it kind of felt tacked on or included really too late in the movie, where maybe if it was introduced maybe earlier on, it would have had more of like, okay, oh, I can see these comparisons now. But the way they kind of like reveal this one thing towards the end of the movie, I thought that kind of just felt just like kind of thrown in there kind of quickly. I'm like, oh, I get what they're trying to say. It's a very nice thing, but at the same time, it's like, oof, like they could have maybe used that earlier or utilized that earlier or made it more of a bigger deal. It just kind of felt like it's brought up and it's kind of just like forgotten in a way. So I was like, okay, I'm very big on like, ooh, if you're going to bring something up at the very end of the movie or towards the end, like a kind of a big reveal, make it count, make it matter, and make it like, okay, look, this is why we showed that because X, Y, and Z. awesome. But it's kind of like a throwaway scene. Again, if you blink or go to the bathroom, you're gonna miss it. So I'm like, it would have been nice to have more of an emphasis on this certain thing. But again, I still like for what it is. But like I said, if you go to the bathroom, if you blink, if you sneeze, whatever, or look down your shoes, whatever, you're gonna miss it. It's a very quick reveal. But if that was important to them, I would have brought it up. I would have included that earlier or shown more of like a natural thing of like, oh look, it's this him and I are these two characters are very similar, and here's why. So that was my little kind of like about it. And my last thing I will say though, there's something in the trailer. You probably saw it too. Excuse me. It's like there's an injury that happens to a character. The injury that happens to a character. It's a pretty bad injury. Also, this is the 70s where the medicine that we have now and the technology that we have now was nowhere near what it was then, or vice versa, whatever. But it happens. It's a pretty major injury that I've had multiple times, unfortunately, because I'm a bit of a klutz. It's a severe injury, and then hours or day later, it's kind of gone. And I was kind of like, wait a second, I've had that injury. I've been there before. Wait a second. And I was kind of like, well, I guess. I mean, was that like big of an injury? I'm like, well, I don't know about all that. As someone who broken his arms twice, unfortunately, and broken my foot, I've sprained my pinky, hand, everything, sprained my ankle, whole thing. I have a bunch of injuries. It sucks, but it's like a severe injury happens to one of the characters, and the next day, nope, the cast is gone, the sling is gone. I was like, wait a second. I've been injured before. No way that got healed up that quickly, especially in the 70s. So that's how I kind of like, I don't know about all that one. But again, I might be a little nitpicking here. It is what it is. But with that said, I absolutely adore this movie. Please see this movie on the big screen. I think it's rolling out in theaters right this week or this weekend or next week. They're doing a smaller release each week and then like a wider release during Thanksgiving. It feels like kind of like a Thanksgiving, a holiday movie to a degree. The kind of the vibe and the snow and the setting. I love this movie. I really do. Easily my top 10 of the year. My top 5 right now, I believe. See this movie because you're supporting this amazing film, but you're supporting original filmmaking with 3 great actors. One who's been a pro at this for many years, who deserves kind of his flowers. Another one who's on the rise right now, Devine Joy Randolph. And a third, a newcomer, I think he's also really going to be something special down the road as an actor. See this movie on the big screen. You won't regret it. It's fun to see also, too, with the strike still going, unfortunately. Not a lot coming out, except for, maybe the Marvels coming out next week. But, if you want to have a good time in the movies and, enjoy it, getting really good filmmaking, good storytelling, great characters, this is the movie for you. I cannot recommend it more. I truly adore this movie because I'm going to go watch more Alexander Payne movies this weekend and this month because I am very impressed by the direction from him and able to get all these kind of all these great kind of characters from it. I hope it does well. Like I said, I give a lot of props to Universal and Focus Features for really believing in original storytelling. Hope this is a trend for the new year that, hey, you know what? We still believe in lower budget, mid-tier original filmmaking, how Sony did with Dumb Money. A24 does that still. Again, even though it was a higher budget, movie, the creator was original story from a big studio. I love that. I'm hoping there's going to be a trend of we're going to see more original filmmaking from the studio system, from the big companies, because it's just refreshing to see a movie like this in the big screen that isn't an IP, that isn't based on a book or anything. It's an original movie. I give everyone kudos. Again, I hope this movie gets a lot of Oscar nominations or Oscar wins because it deserves it. Please see this movie. You will not regret it. It's a fantastic film. And again, I praise a lot of movies. This to me has been I've been on my mind for the past couple of weeks. I cannot stop thinking about it. I just love this movie so much. So hope you guys enjoyed my review of The Holdovers. Like I said, loved it. We'll be probably back either this week or next week with a full show. Myself, Nick, and Joel. Hopefully Moses too. Again, like I said, we're going up on our 1-year anniversary of doing the show. That's crazy. I remember this time last year, I was kind of pitching the show to the guys of hey, we should do a podcast. I've studied so much podcasts the past couple of years, especially during COVID, of this inspired me. And then we're almost going on a year. I won't say it's a year coming, the next week or the week after that we've been doing this. And it's honestly been one of the biggest honors of my life. it's so special to me doing the show, and I hope we hope that you've been enjoying it as much as we've been making it. So yeah, guys, hope to hear you guys. Hope to see you guys at the movies. Hope you guys enjoyed this movie. Hope you're enjoying our reviews and our out of theater reactions. It means the world to us. But as always, guys, we will see you at the movies.